I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our director, Cindy Lanehoff, to do introductions for our speaker today.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today. I hope everybody has had a good start to a wonderful summer. And I would like to introduce Beth Cannon, who has joined us before. And just before I kind of give some official information about Beth from her bio, I just want you to know that the first time I heard Beth speak in person, I was so relaxed and motivated. And I think that's a different combination that sometimes when we are motivated, we just want to, bounce off of walls. But Beth has a way to relax you and motivate you. I think it's a special skill and why we enjoy having her as a speaker. Beth is an international speaker, by the way, an educator. She is very passionate about inspiring leaders and teams. She serves as a keynote speaker, consultant, and coach. She specializes in business and leadership strategy, team building, and early education, professional development. So beyond this webinar, you are certainly welcome to contact Beth. I'm sure she'll give you a way to do that. If you need some additional services and support in your childcare center as a leader, and never discount the fact that you need a leader, that you need to be a leader and not a manager, because you will get better results as a leader. And I won't give that whole speech because we need to move on to what Beth has for us today. You might want to know that she is the creator of what is called the Leaders Lounge. It's an online platform for professional growth and early education. And she also founded another business, which many of you may be familiar with, because I know I was, having been in childcare operations for 36 years. She founded Stretch and Grow. And that was, where she, I think, maybe began her relationship with childcare professionals. She has a bachelor's degree in communications and education. She is registered as an early education trainer and certified classroom teacher. And she's also been a group fitness instructor since the age of 17. So without further ado, I am going to welcome Beth as one of our best friends at NCCA. Thank you, Beth.
Thanks, Cindy. What a sweet intro. I appreciate that. I do love to do what I get to do. And 17 has been a really long time ago for me. So now I just teach yoga, right? Because I'm a little bit older and I had to retire my step bench and my Reeboks. So I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I'm a franchise owner of Stretch and Grow. We have 13 franchises in the Dallas area, and I run a team of 45 people running our fitness, dance, gymnastics, music, and yoga classes for young children. We serve hundreds of child care centers here in the Dallas area. And I'm also the corporate trainer for Stretch and Grow. So that's where the business and leadership strategy came in, a real heart to help leaders grow and understand what are the systems and strategies that can kind of happen from the back end of the business. And so one of the things that I think it's a powerful ninja skill, and that is self-awareness. When you know yourself, you grow yourself. And self-awareness is a true superpower. So today, I'm going to talk to you about the tool that I truly believe that the Enneagram is the most powerful tool in helping you understand yourself and your teachers. And so I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to go ahead and dive into the content today. The title of this is called Dare to Be Self-Aware. And my screen just blinked. I don't know. Can you guys see that? There it came back. Okay. When I went to share the screen, everything went dark. So, okay, I see you guys. Hopefully you can see me. Drop in the chat if you're having any issues seeing my screen, because it did go black for just a minute. So, okay, great. I see some thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, so dare to be self-aware. What I do, my mission, my true mission is to empower ECE leaders and teams. So as you listen, I'm going to break down what the Enneagram is, what the 9 different types of Enneagram are. And then also, Storm and Mariah, we have a workbook today. So I'm going to share the QR code if you want to scan it. But if one of you would please drop in that link for the workbook, so that way you'll be able to work it through. And then also there's a link to actually taking the Enneagram quiz that's embedded on that second page. So this is what I do. Cindy already gave the intro, so I won't bore you with the details about me, but there is the link for the website. And if you are watching on your phone and you want to grab it on your phone, you can go ahead and scan that QR code there. And so hopefully as I'm talking, as I break down all the different types of Enneagrams, you'll maybe see yourself and you'll maybe see your people. So what is the Enneagram? Basically, it says this: there are 9 different ways of viewing the world. And literally, you cannot see it in any other way than your Enneagram if you drink the Kool-Aid of what the Enneagram is. I'm so passionate about this because I've seen it used in my family. I've seen it used in my team. In fact, it's a part of my onboarding process for my team of ECE fitness and dance instructors. So as soon as they onboard, I want to know what are their natural tendencies towards strength? What are their natural tendencies? When do they go dark? How do they go high, and where do they go low? So really there's 9 different ways of seeing the world, because so often we, especially as leaders, can sometimes be a little bit judgy, right? We can be a little judgy of the people who don't think like us, who don't feel like us, who don't respond like us. Maybe you think some people are harsh, some people are too sensitive, some people are too moody, some people are too analytical. You think that. Well, and the truth is, they are too much for you, but they're different and they're created different. And when we learn that, it really opens up our connection. So let me tell you why I think this is important for leaders. First, you're going to lead from your best self. We know over 100,000 early educators left the field, right? That's no surprise. We know that 1 million, give or take a few, died during COVID, right? So we know the workforce has been shrinking. We know that there are fewer people in early education, but this is what we're learning. The jobs themselves are changing. The ECE leaders I know, and I relentlessly pursue organizational health for my early education teams that I work with my clients. So when we lead from our best self, it really helps you understand your own actions and preferences, but it also shows you how to show up for your team, to be mindful of your personality. It helps you understand your team. Like, I need to know if I am dealing with someone who is a feeler based on their Enneagram number, meaning that they feel things very deeply. I know that I'm going to approach that person much differently than someone who is a thinker or a doer. So helps you understand your team, and it also helps your teams work better together. So once I do these team building trainings all the time, and once we realize, oh, that's why you're the way you are, that's why you responded that way, that's where that fear is coming from, it really does open up our channels to understand each other. So we got 9 numbers today. First, the ones, the reformers, perfectionists, improvers. My husband is a 1. We've been business partners for almost 25 years. He is organized. He has a degree in accounting and a master's in finance. He is so analytical. He is a thinker, perfectionist. He makes beauty of my mess. Okay. We have the helpers, givers, mentors. And I will give you a little insight. When I do this live, and we just launched our own Enneagram test, so it's embedded in the workbook that I gave you. So don't necessarily do it right now, but I really want you to take that test. I want to know what your results came back as, because I'm curious to know how many 2s we have. 2 is the most common number in education. Helpers, mentors, givers. 3s, I'm a 3, achiever, performer, motivator. We have the 4s, the romantic individualists. The 5s, the investigators, observers, thinkers. 6s, loyal skeptics and troopers. 7s, my son is a 7, enthusiast, extrovert, visionary. 8s, challengers, bosses, and protectors. And the 9s, a lot of 9s in early education as well, peacemakers, harmonizers, and mediators. So those are the different types of Enneagram. So we're going to break down what they are. And I'm not sure if you guys can hear this. Thumbs up if you can hear. Just kind of give me a thumbs up if you can actually hear the audio going on. Oh, hey, Jessica, you're a 6. Oh, good, you can hear it. Okay, good. I've got songs for every Enneagram, but sometimes with Zoom, the internal audio doesn't come up. Okay, thanks, Cindy. So the 1s, your song is Baby, We Can Do It. Take the time, do it right. So ones, they are rational, idealistic. They are very principled, purposeful, self-controlled, and perfectionistic. They super love being right, accurate, and virtuous. As I said, my husband is a one. He is very intentional about doing the next right thing. And if I give him feedback about his performance, he is quick to say, oh, you think I'm a terrible person? Like, he's bad if he made a mistake. No, you're not a terrible person. I did not particularly appreciate the conversation comments that you had for that subject, but you're not a terrible person, right? So ones, it breaks their heart if they are thought of as bad, wrong, or evil, or inappropriate, right? They can struggle with resentment. Your ones can be kind of judgy. Okay, so when ones are looking around because they don't understand why the rest of you people can't just do things right. Like, why are you messy? Why is that not in order? Why did you not get all the information before you came to me? Here's a great example where if you confuse, you lose. In the onboarding process with ones, if you hire someone and they're a true one, they're going to do everything they can to make sure they follow exactly what you tell them to do. And here's the problem with a lot of early educators. We're not clear on our onboarding process. It's kind of messy. It's kind of disconnected because we're messy and disconnected with all the things that are thrown at us on the daily. So they may start off frustrated because they don't feel like that you've prepared for them. Like, they're coming, they're showing up, they're ready to do what you tell them to, but you just haven't been clear about what you want or need them to do. So ones just need to know that they are good. Okay. Now, here are your famous ones. Martha Stewart. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm 81, being in a bathing suit on the cover of Sports Illustrated is goals. Not so much her season where she went to prison, but perfectionist, right? Everything that she does, you know, it appears perfect. And we have Monica from Friends. If you've watched Friends, as most people in the US have been Friends fans for years, Monica from Friends. Captain Sully, Sullenberger, he's the guy who landed the plane on the Hudson River and no one died. Like, he literally landed it like it was a biplane floating on the water. And you want a guy like that to be in the pilot seat, right? When your plane malfunctions. So because he was such a perfectionist and did everything right according to procedure, he kept people safe. And then, of course, Mary Poppins. Who doesn't want to be like Mary Poppins? So ones, if you are a one, drop in the chat and tell me, like, if you know that you are a one, or maybe you're saying, I'm feeling like this might be me, or I'm feeling like this might be someone I know. Ones, extraordinarily wise and discerning, very wise. But when they begin to chip, they kind of get terrified of making a mistake or appearing wrong. And when they're very unhealthy, they become obsessed about their imperfections and then overly judgmental of others. Okay, Cassie, you're a 1-wing 9. Does that resonate? Yeah, let's see. It looks like a bomb. I think I don't have my glasses on, so I'm trying to read the names right. Yeah, and Cassie, I know you. That makes sense, especially with the 9-wing. Okay, so how to work with ones. Respect their integrity and take things seriously. Ones are going to be very intentional about what they do. They're going to be very intentional about their processes. So like Cassie, for example, is in my Stick to Strategy Academy program. And she set out to do her calendar to mark out her time, to block her time to work through the content of the course. Well, she was like, wait a minute, I don't know if this is working right. Do I need to adjust? Because in her mind, she's going to do the right thing. And she needs to make sure that she's blocked out the time in order to get it right, because she doesn't want to mess it up. She's invested in herself. She knows she's going to work through these programs. She's had some issues, and she's like, okay, I'm ready to get unstuck. What does that look like? So it makes complete sense that was something that was on the forefront of her mind is, hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. Okay. So respect their integrity, but do not make agreements and neglect procedures. So if you're a one, your people in your center who are not following and doing the things that they agreed to do, that you asked them to do, they have worked your last good nerve by this point. Okay. So superpower of ones. They love to improve output, maintain high standards, and they are really good at finding practical solutions to work-related problems. So if you are a one, that is your superpower. Yeah, and Anna, you said yes, so true. I'm guessing maybe you're a one, right? Okay, twos. Here we go. There's your song. The twos love getting the help. They love to be the help. Twos want to be helped. So twos, again, this is the #1 personality in early education. They are very interpersonal, demonstrative, generous. They love being appreciated, loved, wanted, and needed. What does that tell you as a leader? The majority of your people are twos and helpers. They thrive on verbal praise. They thrive on knowing that they feel created to come to the world, to come into their workspace and help other people. And it makes them want to help. You turn a two's talent into performance with true gratitude and acknowledging what they bring to the world, the help that they bring. Cassie, that's funny. Don't just do it right. Yep, that's true. Okay, twos do not like being rejected or unwanted, feeling worthless or needy, right? Twos don't want to be needy, but sometimes when they're unhealthy, they can be needy. Pride is your chain. I mean, think of these almost like the 7 deadly sins, right? We all have them, but denying your own needs in order to take care of others. Twos can be the travel agent for guilt trips. My daughter's a 2, my mom's a 2, so I know this personality very well. When my mom becomes unhealthy in her 2-ness, she becomes the travel agent for guilt trips. She will do anything in the world for you, but she's going to need a handwritten thank you note, right? And she's going to want you to post it on Facebook and tell her friends what she did, because that's going to make her feel really, really good. When she's in that mind of, hey, I did this, but I would really like to be appreciated. So we joke about that a lot in our family. But twos know they just want to be wanted and loved. And here are your famous twos. My goodness, who does not want to be Dolly Parton, Mother Teresa, Mr. Rogers, or Cinderella, right? Those are your famous twos, the helpers of the world. Here's how to work with a 2, because you probably work with a lot of them. Maybe you may be one. And if you know that you're a 2, drop in the chat and tell me, yep, that's me. I'm the helper. I know I'm the 2. A lot of leaders are 2s as well. You step forward to make contact. You give approval and appreciation when possible. Also, but do not hurt their feelings by coming out being too critical or taking things seriously. So 2s sometimes might have a hard time with feedback. So you've got to understand, if someone is sensitive to feedback, you as the leader have to figure out how to give that feedback in a way that motivates and encourages without demotivating. Oh, good, Peter. I'm glad you find it informative. I love it. I'm such a geek about it. It's fascinating. I mean, I literally, when I learned about this, I was like, okay, this is like someone who'd ever did this invented fire. But I'll tell you this, the roots go back like to the 4th century. Like the monks the leader of the monks was trying to figure out why the monks have different personalities, why some can do the things and some can't do the things. And then of course it's evolved over the many, many, many years. But okay, so when 2s are healthy, they are very deeply unselfish, humble, super empathetic. I mean, as Cindy mentioned, I'm a degreed educator. So when I went through my education classes at school, the number one thing that teachers needed to have is empathy. So 2s are very empathetic. When they begin to chip, they become overly friendly, sometimes emotional. Yeah, Ellie, you're a 2. And then when they're super unhealthy, they become manipulative and self-serving, punishing others by making them feel guilty. So if you have someone who is constantly showing up to help, and then other people aren't pulling their weight, they may have a tendency to kind of be a little bit snarky about the others not pulling their weight. That's 2's superpower. Boost support, team morale. They provide great support, improve team communications, and just really create a positive and nurturing environment. So those are my 2s. All right. 3s. I'm a 3. We win, right? That is what we do. 3s want to win. Okay, because every time we stand up, if I could see you, what would your hands be doing now, right? And they're going to stay there. So that's about the 3s. 3s hate to lose more than they love to win. And I wish that were not the case, but I'm a 3. Cindy, you're a 3 as well. William, you're a 3. Not surprised. Let's say Jelly, 3. Yep, not surprised. A lot of 3s are leaders. 3s make great leaders. They are success oriented, and they will work harder than anyone in the room to make sure the team functions well. So 3s love feeling worthwhile and productive. They don't like being exposed or thought of as to be incompetent. Like, I would never want to appear late or flaky or show up not in my true authentic self to serve if I said I'm going to be there. Like Mariah said, Beth, be there at 12:45 today. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got another training. I'm going to be there at 12:50, but like, I'm ready. I'm locked. I'm loaded. Like, I promise you, I'm not showing up late. I'm ready. I've just got to wrap this thing up, because I didn't want her to think I was a flake, right? That's such a 3 thing. 3s struggle with deceit though, sometimes believing that we're only the image that we put out and that our worth is only in our work. Threes really and truly struggle with your work being in your work. So it's true. And so, and we need to know that we're just loved simply for being us. Okay. Famous threes. I mean, who does not want to identify with these people? There are some queens and a king right there. Oprah, Taylor, T. Swift, Michael Jordan, and the queen herself, Beyonce. So those are your three people. Okay, how do you work with a three? When you tell people this, they're going to crack up laughing because nothing could be truer. They need to appreciate your work and speed up talking to you. So if you're a three and you're listening, you're a doer. Your ones are thinkers, your twos are feelers, your threes are doers. And I see some laughing emojis coming up because you know yourself, right? Appreciate their speed and speed up talking to them. So as a doer, you've got feelers, 2s, 6s, and 9s are feelers. They're coming to you and they want to tell you the whole story. And the truth is, in your heart of hearts, you care for them, you want to help them, you want to fix them, and you do not care about their backstory. Like if it's something really major, you want to lean in and listen. But if someone has something major to tell you, like they need to say, hey, Beth, I need to talk to you. But I just want to make sure that like we're present, like we're together. So can we, take a walk, go to coffee? Because they know that on the fly, I'm moving and grooving. Like I'm going, my brain is already 20 steps ahead of them telling me. So when they're talking to me and I'm not prepared for this, I'm already thinking of 17 solutions to their problem because I want them to get back to work. And that sounds harsh, but I'm self-aware enough to be able to laugh at myself and say, I'm aware of that. And so when my people need to connect to me, I need to count out space and time to truly be present with them because no one wants to feel like someone is not listening to them, right? So no one wants to hear that. So, but do not get in their way of their forward momentum and taking up too much of their time. So if you've got threes are efficiency freaks. I mean, they are efficiency freaks. If they can do it quickly, get it done, they want to do it. If I get stuck at a red light, it messes up my whole entire day. So, yep, Jelly, you said you're right. Yes. So, okay, healthy threes. Here you go, guys. You are self-assured, energetic, competent with high self-esteem. You are highly concerned with your performance when you begin to chip, and sometimes you hustle for your worth. I have been so guilty of this. And then when you're not healthy at all, you fear failure and humiliation. And sometimes really unhealthy threes can be opportunistic, right? Like wanting to step in and take away opportunities for other people. Oh, Peace, I'm glad you love it. I love it too. I'm such a geek about it. Okay. 3 superpower, winning, right? All we do is win, 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 achieving, casting vision, and organizing a team for success. So those are the 3s. Okay, if there are any 4s here, you like to express yourself. You are the romantics, right? The individualists. If you're a 4, drop in the chat because I will tell you, you're a unicorn. And you're probably like, yes, I've known I've been a unicorn my whole life. 4s are the most unique number on the Enneagram scale. So if you're 4, you are unique, but they love being unique and special and authentic because they are. 4s' hearts get broken when they feel inadequate, when they feel emotionally cut off, kind of insignificant. 4s sometimes feel like they're a square peg that just doesn't fit into every person's round hole, right? I mean, it just kind of feels awkward sometimes. 4s can struggle with being a little bit envious. Okay, so Sharon and Trevon, you guys are 4s. Okay, so you are unique. You feel envy, sometimes tragically flawed, but you need to know that you are seen and loved for exactly who you are. Like when I do this in team building trainings, and I'll tell you, every time I go into a center or organization for a team building, I like for them to take the Enneagram up front so that I know right away who's in the room and how to connect with them. And I want them to know each other's numbers because I want them to understand themselves as well. So these are your famous 4s. Jackie Kennedy, Prince, and I think today may be the anniversary of his homegoing, right? Prince, Angelina Jolie, and Belle. So those are your famous 4s. How to work with a 4. Appreciate their emotional sensitivity and their creativity. 4s also are feelers. 4s feel things, or I'm sorry, 4s are thinkers. They think about things very deeply. 4s see things other people don't see, okay? So threes, we're busy going, like we're busy on the surface. We see what needs to be done and we're going and we're going. The fours see things beneath the surface. So don't insist on a four being rational, unemotional, or conformist, because they are emotional. They see things, they sense things, and they're very creative. So this team building I just did last week, the executive director was very concerned that one of the assistant directors is not being efficient with her time. Guess what? The executive director was what? A three, right? Well, when she found out the assistant director was a four, this made sense, because she was spending so much time making personalized gifts for birthdays for every child in the center. So the assistant director, the executive director sees what wasn't getting done. Well, this person says, hey, I bring my creativity to the world. And the parents would say, what this lady does for her children every single year, what she does for every single child, something special, like if they like Superman, their gift has Superman on it or something about superpowers. So it helped her understand, like, oh, wow, that's what she does. So I just need to give her a list of routines and prioritize them to say, hey, I'm so glad you're making the gifts, but I need to make sure that you get your work done. So here's what we need to get done. Okay. So that's how to work with the four, just understanding their personalities. So when fours are great, they are profoundly creative, right? Expressive, very, they see the universe as their art, their work of art. But when they begin to chip, they take things personally, sometimes can become a little self-absorbed and introverted, like, you don't appreciate my creativity, then you're dead to me, right? And then when they become really unhealthy, when their dreams fail, they feel very self-inhibiting. They get angry with themselves, and sometimes they can tend to be a little bit depressed and go a little bit dark. So pay attention to your fours, right? When they feel withdrawn, chances are there's something that they need to express that's not come out. So what are the four superpower? Innovation, original expression, and here's what's really great about your fours. They understand the undercurrents that other people don't see. They have discernment, that gut feeling that other people don't have. So lean in and listen to your fours when they are ready to express what they need to you, okay? So fives. You are the investigators, okay? So you love the information. COVID drove you crazy because there was so much information and you had to decide what is information, what is misinformation, what is disinformation, and you had to figure out, right? It was COVID was a very confusing time for the investigators because they feel safe when they have all the information. So if you're a five, drop in the chat and tell me if you know that you're a five. But they are intense, cerebral. They sometimes seem secretive or isolated. Here's my favorite way to identify a five. Are you ready? You're at a New Year's Eve party and you look around at 10 o'clock and they're gone. They were like, peace out, I'm out. Once they're done peopling, they're done. Like they're done. They're not being rude. Same thing with team trainings. They'll show up, they'll be there, they'll participate. But once it gets emotional, once it gets long, they truly need to get re-energized by unplugging from all the stuff and being alone. That is how I always like to identify the fives in a room. And they're not very common. Okay, William, you say your son relates to a five. Yeah. And I will tell, oh, lots of fives here. Okay, Sharon, Luke, William, your son, Sophia, Hope. Hope you're a four. Okay, so I'm going to tell you this. If you have kids, like, I would say junior high and up, have them take the Enneagram. Have your spouse or partner take the Enneagram. I will tell you, I would have parented my children very differently had I understood their Enneagram, especially my son, who's a 7. I'm about to tell you that. So it's really like fire, but fives, they are competent, they are capable. They don't like to feel ignorant. They don't like to feel like they're out of the loop because they spend a lot of time consuming information. They want to share it and they want to be, they need to feel good about being right. They can struggle with materialism, right? Feeling a lack of inner resources is not good for them. They want to have the resources because they feel safe with knowledge, but they need to know their needs are not a problem. So if you have a 5, they also don't care about anyone else's backstory, right? There are not as many of these common in education, very common in engineering, okay? Very, very common in engineering. Okay, yeah, Camilla, you said you wish you would have known it. Yep, Grace, you're a 5. Apple, you're a 5. Victoria, 5. Yeah, lots of 5s in here. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Okay, these are your famous people. Bill Gates, Ross from Friends, right? The anthropologist, Diane Sawyer, and then they think Albert Einstein was also a 5. So very smart and capable people are 5. So here's how to work with a 5. Give them room to process and talk about their ideas and value their thoughts. A 5 is not going to say what they think unless they have explored it and they feel like it is the right information. A 5 doesn't want to come to you with disinformation. So take them seriously when they bring info to you. Do not make assumptions about what's going on with them. Like I said, they may be the quiet ones, the ones that don't want to answer, the ones that don't want to engage. And maybe you've got a leader that's like, I need everyone to engage, respond to the group text with a thumbs up. Some of you are 5s and you're like, I don't want to respond because I don't need to tell anyone my number. I know what my number is, right? And so you're not even responding because you're like, why do you need to know? I know, isn't that enough? But we don't make assumptions, right? We ask for direct communication, and also we agree to disagree. 5s get very frustrated with the drama that sometimes comes in working, especially in education environments. NACCE did a study a few years back and found that 88% of early childhood educators struggle with gossip at work. So we're in this microcosm of mouths running. And if we're not careful, we'll find someone to pull down in the pit, have a velvet couch and pour some wine and have a pity party. The 5s, they're out on it. They don't have the energy for you people that do that, right? They're out. Okay, 5s, when they are healthy, pioneering discoveries. They find new ways of doing things. When they begin to chip, they become preoccupied with their visions and interpretations rather than reality. So they're like, hey, I studied this. I believe this is reality. But if things change, as things changed all the way through the pandemic, right? It's like, we're going to do this. Now we're going to do this. Nope, that's not going to work. This is going to work. We know what that was like. And so it was very frustrating for 5s. When 5s become super unhealthy, they become reclusive and isolated, like Unabomber, right? So paying attention to your 5s and appreciating what they have to offer is important. Sharon said, thank you. You have learned you're a better mom now. I love that. I'm a better mom too. Gosh, I'm a better mom, wife, and I'm for sure a better boss to my team, for sure. Okay, 5s. Their superpower, clear, rational thoughts and deep focus. So that is a 5. Okay, guys, 6. Who knows this song? You might be a Gen X or a boomer if you know this song. Millennials and Gen Zers. If Kathy Petchell's on here, I know I've learned so much with her about, she calls them the Zoomers, the Gen Z, born after 1995. Oh, you can't hear the music clips? Dang it. Okay, anyway, it's safety dance. Men Without Hats, if you remember that. So 6s are the safety dances. Oh, hey, Hannah. Hannah, you are a 6. Sarah, you're a 6. I knew that about you, Sarah. Okay. Loyalists. All right, 6 are loyalists. So yeah, if you've done Structure Strategy, you guys have heard me preach the gospel of this Enneagram before. So thank you guys for showing up to learn a little bit deeper. But 6s, they are committed, security oriented. They are engaging, responsible, but they can also be anxious and suspicious. 6s decide the minute they wake up, they look at all possibilities for what could go wrong in a day. Like 6s make people for great compliance. So they are loyalists. I have a friend who, had I known she was a 6 many years ago, we raised our kids together. She was always worried about were her kids being included in things. And so I would get a text, hey, did your kids get invited to this? And it would drive me crazy. I'm like, I don't know. They're 18. I don't know. Ask them. But she was always so worried that her kids were going to be left behind because she kind of felt left behind as a mom, as a kid growing up. And so she kind of brought that into her parenthood. It drove me crazy. But now that I understand her personality, it made sense to me, right? So unhealthy 6, but there are so many healthy 6s that are incredible. They are so supportive. They are loyal friends, but they fear being without support and security, right? That is the chain for them. And then anxiety. Yeah, Linda, you say you decide the minute you wake up. Yep, Sarah, 6 was your second highest. Sharon, you're a 6. Yeah, so anxiety is your chain. Scanning the horizon of life, trying to predict the negative outcomes. So if you're a 6, I want you to hear my heart. So if you're multitasking, come back to me. I believe, and again, I'm not a mental health professional. This is totally nothing but my field experience in working literally with, I probably talk to or teach over 1,000 people a week, whether it's on a webinar, live, at a conference, whatever. So I see and hear a lot of people. There is a difference in mental illness and being mindful of your mental health. Yes, anxiety is a disorder, right? We're classifying more of that mental health. I struggle with anxiety. And I think that there are times that that's a clinical issue and that needs to be handled between you and your medical team. And there are ways to support for true anxiety and depression that needs to be diagnosed and treated. So please hear my heart on that. I'm a big believer in that. But also, we sometimes struggle with anxiety because it's situational. So just because you have situational anxiety doesn't mean that you're struggling with mental illness. It just means that you need to be mindful of what can you do to take care of your mental health, right? I mean, sometimes for me, because I do struggle with anxiety, unhealthy threes can sometimes have 6 tendencies. So sometimes when I'm struggling, I go outside barefoot. I mean, I'm in Texas. We can do that like 11 months out of the year and look up at the sky and be like, okay, sky isn't falling. My feet are grounded. I can breathe. I'm okay. I sometimes need to do that. So 6s, I just want to tell you, sometimes if you just need to go outside, look up at the sky and say, the sky's not falling, it's going to be okay. That helps. Okay. But you need to know you're safe and secure. Now, here are your people. Princess Diana, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Aniston, so Rachel from Friends, and Piglet. Piglet is your character. So those are your famous 6s. So how do you work with a 6? You appreciate their attention to problems and you agree on rules and procedures. 6s feel safe when everybody's following the rules. So when everyone's following the rules, it is a good thing. They do not like when the rules are changed abruptly, right? Hello, the last 3 years. And they don't like to feel that you are withholding information or discounting their concerns. Unhealthy 6s can become gossipy because they feel like they lack access to power or the information. So if you know you have a 6, and let's say you've got fire drills coming up, or you know something is going to happen, licensing is coming, they don't like surprises. So in order to help your 6, especially if they're struggling a little bit, give them all of the information that they need so that they can feel safe. Not everybody needs it, but a 6 needs it. Okay. When 6s are healthy, they love, they're very good, they're self-aware, they're good leaders, they're very courageous, great leaders. Okay, when they begin to chip, they start investing their time and energy into whatever they believe is going to keep them safe. Then when they're super unhealthy, they fear that they have ruined their security, they can become panicky and volatile and self-disparaging. So that is where a 6 can go low. And I'm telling you, in their heart rate can spin up like a roller coaster going to the sky, right? Beverly, you say that your daughter's a 6, hates surprises, talks through everything that could possibly go wrong, right? And isn't it helpful to know that that's how she's wired? So as her mom, knowing that about her, you can help tend to her fears and insecurities and let her know, like, hey, you're okay. You've got everything you need. You're okay. So I love that. Okay. Leni joined it late. Is there a link for the assessment, please? Yeah, Mariah, would you mind posting the link? And I can just tell you what it is. If you go to bethcannonspeaks.com/Enneagram, that's the test to take. But also Mariah had posted a link to a workbook for this that I made it for you guys so that you can take notes as we go through. And then you can take the test if you want. You can take it later. You can take it now. I mean, there's lots of Enneagram tests. The one that we literally have been spending a few months creating it because I've wanted one that speaks specifically to early education leaders because we're a little bit different, I think, than the rest of the world. I think we're unique and special. Okay, so with 6s, critical thinking, eliminating threats in the workplace. That is their superpower. So if you can hear the song is F-U-N, fun. 6s want to have fun. Okay. 6s want to have fun. I'm sorry, 7s want to have fun. I'm on 7. 7s want to have fun. My son is a 7. They are the enthusiasts. They are fun. I mean, he's the funnest kid ever. Spontaneous, versatile, but they can be distractible and scattered. I mean, when he was in the 3rd grade, I had him tested for ADHD because his teacher's like, Cole's breaking his pencils. And so he's in class and I go to his desk and he has all these broken pencils. And I'm like, Bud, why are you breaking your pencils? What is that all about? He's like, because she's so boring. I'm trying to not make bad choices. And so I have to sit there and listen to her. And so I break my pencils. And I was like, oh my gosh. And you know what I did? Bought the kid more pencils. If that keeps him focused on his teacher, keeps him calm in the classroom. She was an old school teacher. That's what worked. So that's what we did. But through his journey, I kind of discovered that I struggle with some, attention issues sometimes as well. 7s want to have fun. My daughter is a 2. My son is a 7. When they were growing up, if I said, the stove is hot, don't touch the stove, my sweet girl would say, okay, mommy, and turn and walk away. My boy sweet as he is, would figure out how hot the stove is. He would want to touch it. And then if it was really hot, as I said, he would want to put something on it and make it fire. That is how sevens think. Whatever is fun. He constantly thinks. He works remote. He constantly thinks, what can I do for fun? Where can I go work this week? Does anyone want me to house sit for them so I can go and have fun? Yeah, and Nina, again, and be an advocate for your kid. If you know you have a kid who's a 7, figure out, I mean, they've got to learn how to be good citizens in school, but they also need to learn and just be self-aware that they are wired for the next great adventure. They love feeling happy and satisfied. They do not like being deprived or trapped. Gluttony can be their chain. Okay. So they have this feeling of emptiness inside. And so they want to just stuff. 7s need to know that they will be taken care of. Here are your famous 7s: Britney Spears, Robin Williams, Elton John, and my favorite princess, Ariel. How to work with a 7. Have fun. If you have people on your team that cannot stand the drama, I mean, they are out on the pity party. They're like, y'all crawl down in the pit. I'm off to my next adventure. They cannot stand negativity. They're just trying to keep everything light and upbeat and fun. If my son calls me and I've got like something like not good to tell him, he's like, Mom, tell me something good. I don't want to hear anything negative. I just want to hear the good news. Oh, Sharon, you're a 7. Yeah, guys, drop if you're a 7. I'd love to know. But then don't be too negative and insisting that there is a way to do things. 7s are super creative, sometimes messy, sometimes scattered, but they are super fun. So when 7s are healthy, they are lively, cheerful, vivacious, spontaneous, so much fun. When they begin to chip, they become unable to discriminate what they really need, become hyperactive, have a really hard time saying no. So you can imagine my son, when I was in charge of him at home, he made good choices, and then he goes to college where there's no boundaries and there's no mom and there's just a lot of fun, right? So he had a lot of fun his freshman year of college, much to the dismay of his one dad who just needed him to do good things, and his 3 mom who needed him to make the right choices because I worked really hard to send him to school. So it was a very interesting time in the Cannon household. So, oh, look at all the 7s. Logan. Yep. Peace. Good. Okay. Then when 8 or 7s begin to chip, their energy and health is completely spent, right? And they become claustrophobic and panic stricken. So 7s need to stay fun. Their superpower is this: curiosity, lateral thinking, great visionaries, and they really and truly have this upbeat approach to work. So those are your 7s. All right, 8s, here we go. If you can't hear it, let's get ready to rumble is the song that's playing. Like when I used to teach kickboxing back in the day. Kickboxing came around in the early 90s on the fitness scene, and I learned how to jab, cross, uppercut, and that was super fun for me, right? But when you have someone that you're working with and they're an 8 and you're not, it sometimes can be challenging. So if you know that you're an 8, drop it. Oh, Camilla, you're an 8. 8s are the bosses. They are powerful and dominating. Now, let me tell you about 8s. There are a lot of 8s in early education. They make great teachers. They are your social justice warriors. They are the protectors. There's a really good book I'm going to recommend. It's called The Story of You. It's by a guy named Ian Morgan Crone. He also wrote a book called The Road Back to You, and he has a podcast called Typology. Super brilliant on the Enneagram. But when he talks about 8s in The Story of You, many women who turn out to be 8s were in situations in their home growing up to where other people were in charge, and when other people were in charge, it did not go well. So they're like, oh, no one's going to be in charge of me. I'm going to be the boss of me, because when I'm the boss of me, everything goes well. And by the way, I'm also going to be the boss of all these other people because they can't protect themselves. So I'm going to be their protector. So 8s are beautiful, wonderful, strong protectors. But let's talk about what that can look like. So they protect them in their inner circle. If an 8 is for you, they are for you. Here's the difference in an 8 and a 3. A bus is coming. A 3, an achiever, is going to say, friends, the bus is coming. Get out of the way. Today's not your day to die. We've got things to do. We have plans for later. Get out of the way of the bus. The bus comes, it hits the people, and the 8 will be like, I told you people to move. The 8 will take the bus. The 8 will stand in front of the bus. Okay, because 3s and 8s are sometimes mistyped. But they begin to feel weak and powerless. That breaks their heart. Their need for power, it's like a constant intensity to be in control. 8s make great leaders, but when they're not in a leadership position and they feel like they don't have a voice, it can become very suffocating to 8s. Charles, you're an 8. Camille's 8, always take charge. Sharon, an 8. Brandon, an 8. Yep. So, and it's good to know if you have teachers who are 8s, because sometimes they just come across as being inflexible or being really bossy, but they've got a reason for that, right? And so, but they come across as harsh sometimes to the feelers, because 8s are definitely your doers. So these are your famous 8s: Martin Luther King, Donald Trump, Serena Williams, Tinker Bell. Also, Rosa Parks was an 8. So when you think of social justice warriors, whether you agree with them or not, like, don't turn me off now if this picture triggered you, but think about it. When people believe in their cause, they're going to fight for their cause, and they have the ability to rally people to fight for their cause. So whether you're down with the cause or not down with the cause, you have to agree that that personality is going to challenge the status quo. Okay. Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate that. And Camilla, it's hard to give up control. And it's hard to give up control. I mean, if you back that up and you try to figure out why, it's hard because you don't trust other people. You don't trust, if someone else is in control, you don't trust that they're going to always make the right decisions, because chances are you've been in a situation where someone in charge did not make decisions that were in your best interest. And now you're like, no, not again, not going to do that again. Okay, so to work with an 8, make direct contact, be assertive, and don't back down in the face of their strength. So if you're a 2 and you're leading, or a 9 peacemaker, which we're going to talk about that, and you're leading 8s, you've got to be firm, right? Because if you're not careful, you'll get overpowered, and then you'll end up being resentful. So if you're in a leadership position and you're more of a feeler and you're dealing with someone who's got a very strong 8 personality, it's very important that you know that and that you connect with them and like, hey, I just want you to know I have your best interest at heart. Our hearts need to be aligned. Our mindsets need to be aligned. We need to focus on unity and what can we do to help support each other. The problem is when there's 2 different agendas and each person is fighting for their own agenda. Okay. So with 8s, do not control them without their agreement, and don't make them sit still too long or be disrespectful. So that's how to work with an 8. So 8s, when they are very courageous, they will put themselves in jeopardy for the sake of the team. They will do it. I think football players, right? Michael Orr, who was, oh gosh, the movie with Sandra Bullock. I can't think of the movie, but Michael Orr was his Sandra Bullock, their family adopted him. If someone can think of the movie, say the name of the movie. Anyway, he was a protector, right? Because he'd been in foster homes, he had to protect his family. And so he was a protector. So Michael Orr, who is a protector, does someone know? Blindside. Yes, that's it. Thank you. I had a brain freeze for a minute. Okay. So when 8s begin to chip, they begin to dominate their environment, including dominating other people. And then when they're very unhealthy, they become delusional about their power, invincibility, and ability to prevail. So it's very important that if you're an 8, keep yourself in check as an 8. Okay, that's very important that you are mindful that in the face of your strength, you can crush other people, probably not physically, but mentally and emotionally. So just be mindful of that and choose to stay healthy and be aware. So 8s, their superpower, they have decisive thinking, bold action, and a tenacity to get things over the finish line. We need 8s in the world to make things run. So now 9s, here we go, the 9s. So if you can't hear that, that's a peaceful, easy feeling. So 9s, you are the sweethearts of the Enneagram. The sweetest people are 9s, okay? They are easygoing, very receptive, assuring, they are agreeable. Sometimes they can tend to be complacent. So if you know that you're a 9, drop it in. Beverly, you're a 9, okay? 9s have this inner stability and peace. What breaks their heart is being in conflict. They are mediators, right? So when there's drama and conflict going on, it very greatly affects a 9. Like if you are a doer, which is a 3, a 7, and an 8, you're a doer, you don't really necessarily get involved in other people's drama. You know whether you're right or you're wrong. And the thinkers, the ones, the 4s and the 5s, they for sure know if they're right or wrong. So they don't get in the drama, but 9s, because you truly can see both sides, you can tend to get sucked in and you can get your heartstrings tied into other people's conflict because you just want all the people to have peace. Okay, Sarah and Sharon, you're 9s. Yep. Okay. Laziness can be their chain because you have such an ability to numb out, remaining unrealistic about it, what it looks like for peace. You just kind of fall asleep to your passions. And so you're like, it's not worth fighting for. I just want to numb out. You know, my cousin, who is my person, she is a 9. And during COVID, she gained quite a bit of weight. And because she was in such a hard time and she was depressed. And she's like, I don't know why I gained all this weight. Well, she numbed out, right? And the thing that numbed her were not healthy choices. And so when you don't have healthy choices and you're numbing out, and no one's coming to save you, right? It makes it much more of a challenge. So, but you need to know that your presence does matter. Okay, these are your famous 9s. I mean, heaven help Queen Elizabeth, y'all. If she is looking down from above, she has lost her mind at the way her family has probably disappointed her since she left for heaven. But she's a 9. Ronald Reagan was actually a 9. I mean, if you remember, back in 1989, he was one of the peacemakers to tear down the Berlin Wall with Mikhail Gorbachev. And so he was a peacemaker. Abraham Lincoln was a peacemaker. And then of course, sweet Winnie the Pooh is a peacemaker. So how do you work with a 9? Oh, Beverly, you're British. You love the Queen. I love the Queen too. I am a royal watcher. I am. I mean, when I was going to tell you guys, when Princess Diana came up as a 6, I was 10 years old when she got married, and I got up at 3 a.m. and I watched her funeral. And I think I was 27. I guess about 27 when she died, got up at 3 a.m. So then when William and Kate got married, I was very thankful for a recording and for the coronation and her funeral. Anyway, I digress. Back to the 9s. Okay, 9s. You want to help pursue peace and create structure to keep 9s on track. So if you've got a 9 who's working in the office, they need a clear path to understand what their roles and responsibilities are, what their routines are, and what their priorities are. Now, I use, and this is not part of this training, but I use a project management tool called Trello. And for those of you guys who are my students in Sector Strategy or we worked together before, Trello it's free. It's a free tool on the internet. I've got a cheap little course on my website. If you just go to bethcannonspeaks.com/Trello, it can give you some ideas of how to use it in early childhood. But I use this as project management for my leaders. So my leaders know exactly what their priorities and routines are, and there's check boxes. And so I can check in real time. So they are fully aware of what is expected, their daily routines, their weekly routines, their monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Everybody is very clear. So if you don't have systems of accountability in place for your people, especially your 9s, don't get frustrated when they struggle, because it's truly a challenge for them to stay on track, especially if there's conflict. They can kind of numb out. So it's not that they don't want to do the work. They maybe don't understand the priority of it. And so you as the leader, it's important for you to be able to help people through it. Okay, Sarah, I love to see some of you guys love Trello. So that is awesome. Okay. And Mariah, yes, Mariah, I got the timer. We're going to be done, my friend. We're going to get it. But with a 9, do not come on too strong, right? Do not come on too strong, getting impatient or creating pressure. You will never motivate a 9 by creating pressure, ever. You're going to demotivate them, and they're going to leave and they're going to go someplace else because of your intensity. So if you know that you're an intense personality, and I am very intense. I have very high expectations of people, but I've learned over the years to be kind. Number 1, to be kind is really important. But number 2 is just to be clear. Be clear and be kind. And when you're clear and kind, you can work with any personality, but you've got to be really mindful of the personalities that you're working with so that you can connect to them and that you can make sure that you're hitting on all cylinders. Okay. 9s, when you are healthy, you are deeply receptive. You're so accepting. You're emotionally stable. When you begin to chip, you're active, but you kind of disconnect, right? You can disengage. And you stop kind of paying attention to what's happening. And you're just like blinders on, like, I don't want to deal with conflict. I'm just going to look over here. When you're very unhealthy, you begin to want to block out awareness of anything. And as I said, numb out. And we numb out in different ways. Some of us, it's food. Some of it's exercise, addiction, disconnecting from people. I mean, probably the worst thing ever for 9s is the iPad and the phone, right? Because you can just clearly numb out. But you have a life to live and you have to be mindful of that. So your 9 superpower, collaboration, mediation, you're great mediators. You love getting different perspectives at work. You like to create harmony. That is important to you. So those are all of the numbers. Now, what in the world do you do with this information? So hopefully you've all been able to grab that little notebook I made for you this morning. Take the test when you can. And again, I would love to know, even if you took the test, email me and tell me what your number is. And then if you know, like if you've taken a test before and you were aware of your number, tell me if it was different. Like I said, this is new and I don't know if it needs to be tweaked. I mean, it was pretty accurate. Like I came out as 100% 3. 100%. And every Enneagram test out there, I have been a 3. So there is no question. I am very self-aware of who I am when I go high and who I can be when I choose to go low. So team interview questions. So I am going to encourage you, get your team to take an Enneagram test. I mean, you can use mine, but there are plenty out there on the internet. One of my favorite ones is called the Eclectic Energies Enneagram. So if you just Google Eclectic Energies, they'll come up with one. It's longer, it's a little bit more intense. Obviously, it's not tied to leadership necessarily, but have your team take it and then have a workshop. Like, don't just listen to this and say, okay, that's good information. That was interesting. Go back and use it. So next staff development meeting, have everyone take the test and then come back. So what I have them do is everyone gets a piece of paper and they fold it in thirds and then they make a little table tent like this, right? And then on the table tent, they write their name and then they write their number. And then that way, when you're, showing a video about it or you're talking about it, you get an opportunity to look around and see, oh, hey, that's why she's like that. How can we help her get a little bit more healthy? Or, oh, God, that makes sense. Not that it's a tool to judge. So don't hear me and say, oh, yes, now I have a jerkometer, right? I can figure out why people act like jerks. No, it's not a label. It's not a label. It's a tool for self-awareness, mostly for the person taking the test, but informative for the people that are on the team. So those are some questions. I, of course, put these questions inside the workbook, so you'll be able to access and use them inside of the workbook. So let's see, it looks like we've got, let me see if there's any questions. I'll actually put my glasses on now so I can see. Mariah, did you see any questions that I may have missed? Oh, hey, Lynn.
Mostly, it looks like they're wondering if those slides will be able to be shared afterwards, and the best email to contact you.
Yes. So the best email to contact me is bethcannonspeaks.com. Yes. And if you shoot me an email, I can. And then, yeah, if you shoot me an email, I'm happy to share my slides with you for informational purposes. For sure, we can do that. But anyway, was it that fun? I had fun. Mariah, did you have fun?
I definitely had a whole lot of fun, and I hope that everybody else did too. And we appreciate you taking time out of your very, very busy schedule. You know that you're a woman who is constantly on the move, so we appreciate it. And I know that I personally definitely took away a lot of it.
What number are you?
Oh, I'm definitely somewhere between like a 2 and a 4, and there might be some other stuff sprinkled in there, but the more I listened about 4, I'm definitely a 4. So, we'll just see. I'm going to take the test. I think all of us are going to, on our team, planned on taking the test and see where we are lining up. But it's really wonderful to be able to communicate with each other more effectively. So I think everyone can agree with this. And yes, I see someone in the chat about the gift card. So it is one singular gift card. So we'll be sending an email afterwards. Once you complete the post-viewing survey, we'll go ahead and we'll pick a winner at random, and then we will notify you by email for you to claim your prize. So I'm going to actually go ahead. I have a couple of things. Beth, if I could share my screen.
You bet. I'll stop sharing mine. You got it. It's all yours.
Thanks. Let's see right here. Okay. So I just wanted everyone to get a chance and look at some of the stuff that we've got going on. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email us anything, general inquiries. If you want information about advocacy, membership, our webinars or certificates, that is our email right there, ncca@necpa.net. And join our advocacy calls. We do have one scheduled for today with our friends at the Early Care and Education Consortium. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern. Our next call is going to be on August 2nd. So if you're unable to join us today, please join us then, where we discuss what's going on in childcare, how to be the best advocate that you can be, federal updates, what folks are doing in various states that they live in. And then we'll hear from our voice from the field speaker. And today that speaker is going to be Alessandra Lizama, who is the the CEO and founder of our partner tutress. So you can go ahead and scan that if you'd like to join us next time. And then, of course, save the date. So I'm sure maybe some of you might know already, we are planning a conference for next year in Austin, Texas. The early bird sale is going to go live on July 1st. So please keep your eyes peeled for that information. And we'll be happy to send you that info if you're interested. Please feel to drop it your email in the chat and we'll get that over to you. And then let's see what else we've got going on. Yes, I did mention the giveaway. So again, we'll pick someone from this live session after you complete the post-viewing survey right after. And please follow us on social to keep abreast of what's going on. We like to do little shout outs from time to time for people who attend our webinars or people that we meet when we're out and about doing work for you. So please scan those QR codes or take the @ and follow us on social media. And I think that's it. Cindy or Storm, did either of you have anything you would like to share before we close out?
No, I'm
Thank you so
just a
much.
couple things. Well, yes, just a couple things. First of all, wow, Beth, I think that this is such a great way to begin becoming more of a leader than a manager in our centers. And I think that leaders are so needed when it comes to really being able to have a high quality, high functioning center
Yes.
that retains staff. And I think that's a big one. And it certainly was a great reminder to me of the qualities that I think I possess. I'm going to take the quiz, and how to work with others on the team that may be different. And then the other thing I would mention is that we are very excited about our upcoming conference in Austin, Texas. It's been a while, and I would just like to note that our first conference will be for leaders, administrators, and owners only. We are not including educators in this particular conference. We may work towards that in the future, but we want to help and support build strong leaders. And I bet, Beth, I can talk you into being a part of that.
I bet you probably could, Cindy. I was just thinking to myself, I need to shoot you a message and say, hey, Austin's only about 3 hours away from me, right down 35.
Well, pencil it in your calendar. No, ink it in. And we are going to be looking, we have a leadership track. We have 4 different training tracks. So
it would be an honor to get to do that for you.
All right. Thank you so much. And to all of you out there, thank you for the work you do. I know firsthand how exhausting it is and how essential you are. And we try every day at the NCCA to find ways to make that just a little bit easier. So take care all, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, friends.